Hello viewers, welcome to my channel IITJ Olympiads and AP Physics with Ambarish. Today I am super excited to present this problem to you. This is a problem from Pathfinder Build Your Understanding, problem number 14 from Properties of Matter. In fact, the given answer in the book is wrong, and there is a method by which you can match the answer given in the book. I was aware of that method, but somehow that method always troubled me. I found and I always had an eerie feeling about that solution, some strange feeling. And then I got to know through one of my peers that the given solution is the given answer in the book is wrong, and also that there are some research papers published on the problem. So that motivated me enough to do my own analysis of this problem, and here I am going to present to you my own analysis of this problem. So stay tuned till end. It might be a little long video, but I am sure it will be worth the investment of the time. So please stay tuned. Okay. So here goes the problem from Pathfinder. A soap film of thickness h is equal to 1 micrometer is formed in a circular wire loop of radius 5 centimeter. Okay, so this is a wire loop of radius 5 centimeter. Okay, and there is a soap film in this. Okay, if the soap film is punctured in the center, the hole thus made spreads symmetrically. Okay, so we punctured it and the hole is spreading out. So just an indicative figure I have drawn here. Okay, how long will the soap film take to disappear? Assume that thickness of the soap film remains almost unchanged during the process. Surface tension and density of the soap solution are sigma is this and rho is given as this. Okay, so if you puncture it, then there is surface tension forces which are trying to pull this outward, and this hole will become bigger and bigger. And as the hole becomes bigger, so this much water will get into a very small annular region, and this annular region radius will spread out, and we have to find out when this annular region vanishes and the film is completely disappeared. Okay, so if you want, you can give it a try. It's a tricky problem, and then if you want, you can have a look at my analysis. I'm going to get into my analysis right away. Okay, so first of all, I'll tell you the wrong method, because the wrong method is very popular. Many people are doing it using wrong method. So first I'll tell you the wrong method. What is that? That is energy conservation. So what here we equate the loss in surface energy to the gain in kinetic energy of the basically soap solution particles, which are assumed to form a thin annulus with mass equal to how much? See, if this radius is x, so this much mass has gone into a small annular region. Okay, so what is the area of this? Area is pi x square, and the thickness of the film was h, so volume that has gone into small annular region here is pi x square h, and rho is the density. So mass of this part where these particles have gathered at the periphery of the rest of the film, this mass is pi x square h into rho at the inner periphery of the unretracted portion. Okay, so now I can say that this half mv square should be equal to the lost surface energy. So that's what I have done. So half, and this mass comes as it is, pi x square h into rho and v square. So this is half mv square, and what is the lost surface energy? That is sigma into pi x square into 2. Okay, why? Because there are two surfaces, and surface energy is surface tension into the area. So sigma I have used for surface tension. Okay, and if you rearrange this, you get velocity as under root of 4 sigma by rho h, and you see that velocity is constant, and once you have the velocity, time can simply be found by taking radius divided by velocity, distance upon speed. So that is r root rho h upon 4 sigma, and this is what is given in the book, but this answer is wrong. So why is this answer wrong? There is no reason to believe that heat liberated during the retraction is zero. Why are we assuming that the entire surface energy is converting into kinetic energy? So random thermal kinetic energy due to collisions can't be ignored. So there is no reason to believe why some energy will not be lost as heat in the process of retraction of the film. Okay, so what's the correct method? So now I'll move on to the basic method using Newton's second law. Okay, so let us say I consider a small angle d theta. Okay, let us say this small angle d theta, and some part of the unretracted film, this annular region where soap particles are present, I am considering a portion of this ring, and the angle of this element is d theta. Okay, so what are the forces acting on this? So on lower side there is nothing. Now there is air, and on the other side surface tension forces are pulling it. So let us say this radius is x, then this length becomes x d theta, and surface tension is sigma. So surface tension into length and into 2y, because there are two surfaces. So the force pulling over here is 2 sigma x d theta. And then this is a very small thickness in which the particles are collected. We can assume this to be a very small thickness, because only up till here the particles have gathered into very fine line over here. Okay, and beyond this the particles have not yet started moving. So if I consider surface tension forces along this, these surface tension forces are themselves small, and moreover I need to take a component of them in this direction. So that will be sine d theta by 2, and that will become a second order term. Okay, so therefore if I assume this small thickness b, so this 2 sigma b component in this direction is a second order term and can be ignored. Okay, and now we consider the moving portion of the film contained in an annular thickness region d theta. Okay, and net force should be equal to rate of change of momentum of this, right? So since the radial thickness of the film is small, we can ignore the inward component of the forces 2 sigma b that I said. Now the mass contained in the considered portion. Okay, so entire mass of this whole annulus, the moving annulus, is what, pi x square h into rho, and since this angle is d theta, so just we need to take the fractional angle. So d theta by 2 pi is the fractional angle of this, so I just multiplied this by d theta over 2 pi for getting the mass of that element. Okay, and this simplifies to rho x square h by 2 d theta. You can verify. Okay, and now I can use F is equal to d by dt of mv. Okay, so mass is I just proved that rho x square h d theta into v. So this is the mass. This was the mass, and then I multiplied the velocity, and I differentiated with respect to time. And of course the force is what? Force is 2 sigma x d theta, I showed you. So this is 2 sigma x d theta, the force. Okay, so just now I just need to differentiate this with respect to time and equate both sides, and I can cancel off d theta on both sides. D theta is same on both sides, and it's nothing varying with time, so I can just take d theta outside and just cancel d theta on both sides. Okay, so what am I left with? 2 sigma x is equal to, now rho h by 2 also, they are constants, you can take outside. So rho h by 2 I have taken outside, and inside what are you left with? Rho h by 2, and inside is x square into okay, so first function, so x square into dv by dt plus v into derivative of x square. So this is x square into dv by dt, and then v into derivative of x square is 2x dx by dt. So I hope this equation 7 is amply clear to all of you. Now instead of dv by dt, I can also write it as v dv by dx. So all of you know from kinematics that acceleration can either be written as dv by dt or v dv by dx. So what's the benefit of writing it as v dv by dx? See, this is a differential equation, and there is a v coming here, there is x coming here, and there is t coming here, and I can't solve a differential equation in 3 variables. So I need to just convert it to just 2 variables. So I write dv by dt as v dv by dx. Okay, and then my differential equation 7 transforms to this. Okay, you take this 2 over here, rho h you take here, so this becomes 4 sigma x upon rho h, and this becomes x square v dv by dx, first term, and the second term becomes 2x, and this dx by dt is v. So dx by dt into v becomes v square. So I hope equation number 8 is clear, how equation number 8 follows from equation 7. Now I can arrange equation 8 to this form. See, I have written this in this form. Why? Because I will be using a particular substitution, and you will be able to readily see what was the benefit of rearranging equation to the form 9, and you can verify that equation 8 can be easily arranged into the form of equation number 9. Okay, multiply the whole thing by 2 and then divide the whole thing by x square. So 8th equation multiplied by 2 and divided by x square gives you equation number 9. Now this is the first order differential equation, although it's not a linear differential equation because there is dv by dx also and there is v also, but we'll use a technique to convert it into a linear differential equation. I'm sure some of you must have seen this type of equation, how we convert it into a linear form. So first order differential equation in v and x. Okay, it's supposed to be and, okay, v and x, and we know the initial condition that v of 0 equal to 0, because when you have pricked, so just at the beginning those particles will be moving at practically 0 velocity. So I can say that when x is 0, velocity is 0. So we just need to solve this initial value problem. We have the differential equation, we have the initial condition, and we need to solve the equation number 9. So now even though I know that initially the velocity is 0, and I mean if it is just pricked, theoretically we can say that the radius of the initial hole is 0, but just to get a better understanding, I am not assuming the initial radius of the hole to be 0. Maybe the pricking needle has some radius a, so I have taken the pricking radius as a. So that's what I've written. See, to get a better understanding and insight, we shall assume a finite radius a of the puncturing device, and then let a tend to 0. So it's one and the same thing, right? You figure out everything in terms of a, and then you make a equal to 0. So our initial condition then becomes va equal to 0. See, this is the film and this is the puncturing device, and this puncturing device has got a radius a. So just at the periphery of the puncturing device, immediately after the puncture, the velocity is 0. That's what we have assumed. Okay. So now let us look at equation 9 carefully. So I have just copied the equation 9 once again, and then I can put v square equal to y. So what is the benefit? So if you put v square equal to y, then this becomes derivative dy by dx, right? Because dy by dx will be 2v dv by dx. So this will become simplified, okay, and v square is anyway becomes y, and let us see. So this gets transformed to equation number 10. So 2v dv by dx, that becomes dy by dx by this substitution, and this is 4 by x, and v square is y as it is, and plus that is equal to 8 sigma upon rho h x. And this now is many of you who have studied linear differential equations, you must be able to recognize it easily, that this is a standard linear first order differential equation in the form y dash plus py is equal to q. This is a standard form, and this is solved using the integrating factor, and integrating factor is given by e to the power integral p dx. So here the integrating factor is e to the power integral of 4 upon x dx, which is x to the power 4. And now you multiply this entire equation by x to the power 4 on every term. So what does this become? This becomes x to the power 4 dy by dx, and then this becomes 4x cube y, and then this becomes 8 sigma x cube upon rho h. Okay. And see, now the beautiful thing has happened. Now this has become a perfect differential. This is nothing but d by dx of x to the power 4y. See, this LHS has becomes perfect differential. That was the why we multiplied by integrating factor, because d by dx of x to the power 4y is x to the power 4 dy by dx plus 4x cube into y. Okay, and right hand side is of course 8 sigma x cube by rho h. And now when now I need to integrate this a definite integral with appropriate limits. Okay, so when x is a, I know that v square is 0. Immediately after the puncture, the velocity of the particles at the periphery is 0. So when x is a, v square is 0, and v square is also y, so y is equal to 0, and accordingly I can say that this variable x to the power 4y, you call it some other variable, the value of this variable is 0. Okay, and okay, and of course this varies from x will vary from a to x. Okay, so then integration of d by dx of this is nothing but x to the power 4y as it is, and 0 to x to the power 4y. Okay, because initial value x to the power 4y I showed you 0. So initial value and the final value. So just put the limits, and right hand side becomes a to x. Okay, and if you integrate this left side, you get this. I mean, now it's just simplification. So just if you simplify this, you get the value of y as 2 sigma by rho h into 1 minus a by x to the power 4, which is also v square, and accordingly we get this value for value of v, that is root 2 sigma by rho h into 1 minus a by x to the power 4. And now we will see how this function behaves. Of course, when a is very small, you can readily see that this will become constant, right? A by x to the power 4 will go to 0, and this will be simply root 2 sigma by rho h, okay, when a is very small. But for better insight, that's why I used a, so that we can get a better insight into the behavior of film retraction, okay. So let's imagine a film where puncturing radius is 1 millimeter. Let us say your a is 1 millimeter, and I plot the value of x from 1 millimeter onwards and see how this factor behaves. 2 sigma by rho h I am not very much interested, because this is what is varying with x. So I have plotted the behavior of this velocity factor, let's call it. Let's say 2 sigma by rho h is 1, root of this factor is 1, and then I want to know how this factor behaves. So I plotted this for puncturing radius of 1 millimeter, and with respect to x I have plotted this function. So if my function is under root of 1 minus a by x to the power 4, the graph looks like as shown. This is the graph, okay. Here I plotted x in millimeter. So when x is 1 millimeter, the velocity, and here the velocity factor. So we can say when x is 1 millimeter, the velocity is 0. But you can see very soon, very quickly, you can say that about x equal to, let us say, 3 millimeter, the velocity has become almost constant, equal to 1 meter per second, right? Or even at 2.5, if you see, it is about 0.99, okay, and even at 2 it is more than 0.9. So this is a very quickly saturating graph, right? And this is what I got when the pricking radius was 1 millimeter. So we got saturation at maximum, I mean, you can say at 3 millimeter I got the saturation velocity, okay. And obviously if you make the punch radius 0.1 mm, then it will become 0.3 mm for saturation, and then so on. And when it goes to 0, you can say that saturation happens almost instantaneously, right? So we can observe that at about 3 mm our graph has saturated to 1. So we can assume that for practical purposes the velocity of the film retraction is constant, okay. So this is practically constant. So here also, let's say my radius was 20 millimeter or 2 centimeter, then after 2.5 millimeter it's practically retracting at a constant velocity, okay. So velocity of film retraction is constant. If we use a still piercing needle, the limit a tending to 0, from equation 16 we can say that velocity is root 2 sigma by rho h, okay. This is the equation 16, this one. So you put a equal to 0, so you are left with root 2 sigma by rho h, okay. So now what is the time for retraction? If it is retracting at a constant velocity, so time, so it has to cover a radius of small r, and velocity is known, so the time is simply r divided by v, so that is r into under root of rho h by 2 sigma. So this is what we get for time, okay, and this is our final answer. And a side note, see the velocity that we got here, this is 1 by root 2 times the velocity we obtained by energy method. See, this is root 2 sigma by rho h, and using energy conservation method, if you see what velocity we got using energy conservation, that was root rh velocity is root 4 sigma by rho h, whereas we got root of 2 sigma by rho h. So velocity that we got using this approach is 1 by root 2 times the velocity we obtained by energy method. This means only half the surface energy is converted into kinetic energy, because if velocity is 1 by root 2 times, that means kinetic energy we are getting is half the one we got using an energy conservation, okay. So that means the other half is lost as heat. So that was my analysis of this problem, and I felt very enthusiastic doing this video. In fact, I could not sleep yesterday night for very long, because I was working on this problem, and I just could not get it off my mind. And I hope you enjoyed it as much as I enjoyed doing this video. And if you did like my video, please do give it a thumbs up, and please do share it in your various study groups as much as possible, in WhatsApp groups or Telegram groups or Discord servers, where you might be interacting with other students regarding your JEE problems. And if you have not already subscribed to my channel, please do subscribe to my channel. That's the main thing that motivates me to do more and more videos. I want to bring more awesome stuff for all of you. Thanks a lot for watching this video.